Piece is a treasure trove of memorable characters, each with their own unique introductions that leave a lasting impression. These introductions not only reveal the characters' personalities and abilities, but also set the tone for their roles in this grand adventure. From the moment we meet our rubber-bodied protagonist to the reveal of powerful figures like Goldie, Roger and Kaido, each introduction is a moment of excitement. So let's set sail and revisit the top 20 character introductions in One Piece. First we have Boa Hancock, also known as the Pirate Empress and the Snake Princess.
Mero, mero, mero.
Hancock is renowned for her stunning beauty, which paired with her love devil fruit, she often uses for her own advantage. Hancock's introductory scene fully captures her essence, a mesmerizing blend of beauty, power and mystery. In this scene, Hancock receives a summons from the Marines. As she steps forward to receive it, her appeal leaves everyone present with their mouths wide open. The Marines are completely taken aback when she reveals her powers, which is the ability to turn anyone who's attracted to her into stone. She's literally like Medusa, but without the snakes for hair. The intro was pretty sweet because it sets the tone for Hancock's character, a beautiful yet formidable force who's definitely not to be messed with. Next up we have Kozuki Oden. This guy is one of the most prominent characters in One Piece with his charismatic personality, formidable will, and strength as a samurai, and not to mention his unwavering sense of honor and duty. Our heroes don't really get to see him in the flesh since he's a character from the past, but during the flashback, Oden is portrayed as an unruly and wild samurai with a large appetite for both food and for life. His introduction is marked by his desire to sail the seas and explore the world outside the borders of Wano. Despite being a noble and an heir to the shogunate, his free-spirited nature and disregard for privilege made him stand out as a character. The people all around literally yelled out to hide the girls and the livestock because Oden was just that popular. Truly a character with a vibe that could match Luffy's. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to control a team of heroes so overpowered that they could just defeat any villain that comes their way? Enter our sponsor, Marvel Strike Force. You can create your very own superhero dream team right from your mobile, and trust me when I tell you that you need the strongest out there because a new threat is coming, Ultimus. Do you know who he is? He's a being more powerful than Thanos, and by playing Marvel Strike Force, you can discover his full story. Marvel Strike Force is a mobile team RPG that not only lets you fight baddies as superheroes, but you can also add supervillains to your squad because once the universe is at stake, you already know that they team up. Install Marvel Strike Force, and for a limited time this month, if you use the QR code or click the link in the description below, you can unlock exclusive characters for free by just logging in. You can even get the chance to celebrate the release of the Spider Society by adding more Spider-Verse characters to your roster for free. Enter the promo code MSF6 for the 310 Deadpool shards, 500 power cores, and 5 premium orbs. And if you've already played the game, use promo code NIGHT to get 15 Nightcrawler shards, 500 power cores, and 5 premium orbs. Play Marvel Strike Force now. Enel, the self-proclaimed god of Skypiea, makes his debut when the Straw Hat Pirates reach Skypiea. He's the owner of the Rumble fruit, a Logia-type devil fruit that grants him the power of electricity. He was introduced as a tyrannical character with a god complex, believing himself to be far superior to others. His ability to control lightning and his ruthless rule over Skypiea make him a formidable antagonist. His devil fruit powers make him nearly invincible as he can move at lightning speed, restart his heart, and strike his opponents with powerful electric attacks. His godlike powers and ruthless rule over Skypiea set the stage for one of the most intense arcs in the series. During his debut, Enel is seen participating in a survival game with the Straw Hat Pirates, the Shandian residents, and the Divine Army. The scene truly establishes him as someone with loads of excessive amounts of confidence and the power to back it up, making him an intimidating villain. Prior to his physical introduction, his power was already showcased in the early stages of the Skypiea arc when Nami observed a ray of light obliterate one of Enel's prey right in front of her. Number 17 marks one of the most iconic character introductions of our very own rubbery protagonist, Monkey D. Luffy. Luffy's grand entrance in One Piece is a stupidly funny introduction since at this point, Luffy is inside a barrel on the ship of the Alvida pirates. Kobe's on the ship too, and so is Nami, characters we'd also grow to love later in the story. Kobe's being used by the pirates since he's a lot like their personal slave. When Luffy's barrel is carried to a bunch of pirates and they're about to open it, Luffy destroys the barrel as he stretches his arms, knocking the guys right out, shocking everyone. Turns out he was having a nap in it, and seems like it turned out great since that's literally the first thing he says. Luffy's carefree attitude is showcased during this introduction, and it does deserve a spot on this list of course, since this is how the long One Piece journey began. Later we'd get to see how truly insane Luffy's powers are with his Gum Gum fruit, as Luffy instantly gets into a fight with the Alvida pirates, but hey, that introduction was awesome. The introduction of Imu-sama, the secret ruler of the world government, adds a layer of mystery and intrigue to the series. Imu's debut is a chilling glimpse into the unseen hand of power. Imu-sama, the mysterious ruler of the world government, is introduced during the Reverie arc. His existence is kept a secret from the world, and his introduction raises many questions about the true nature of the world government. He's the owner of the so-thought empty throne of the One Piece world and is revered by the Five Elders. As he sits upon the throne that's supposed to have no owner, and how even the Five Elders, the highest ranked people in the world, are bowing down to him, is certainly one of the most shocking introductions around. This moment sends chills down our spines and leaves us wanting to know more. Not much more though can be said about Imu other than the fact that he's shrouded in mystery, and we can't wait to know more about who Imu really is. But that introduction certainly took the cake as it showed off the true big bad of the series while still shrouding him in mystery. Vegapunk's true introduction in One Piece takes the groundwork of the initial reveal and elevates it to an even greater level. After nearly 2 decades of speculation, the real Vegapunk finally appears. This long-awaited reveal delivers a satisfying payoff for dedicated fans who theorized about him for years. We see Vegapunk as an eccentric old man with a massive external brain, and he's not alone. There are 6 satellites working as one mind. This unexpected twist keeps this mystery fresh. The reveal of the Brain fruit power explains Vegapunk's incredible intellect and the existence of the satellites. It adds a layer of One Piece's signature world building to the character. The introduction sparks even more questions. What are Vegapunk's motivations? How does the fruit work? This deepens the overall One Piece lore and sets the stage for future plot developments. By subverting expectations yet again and adding fascinating details, Oda crafts an introduction that not only satisfies curiosity, but also opens exciting new avenues for the story. It's a masterfully executed reveal that cements Vegapunk as a truly captivating character.
世界一の頭脳を持つ男、天才科学者ドクター・ベガパンク、ここに現る。
Roronoa Zoro, also known as the Pirate Hunter, is one of the main characters in the One Piece series. He's the swordsman of the Straw Hat Pirates and is recognized as one of the most powerful members of the crew and as Luffy's right-hand man. That's how we know him today, but Zoro's debut in the series is just as memorable as the character himself. We first met the green-haired bounty hunter tied up to a cross and left to starve at a marine base as a punishment for a falsely accused crime. Despite the dire situation, Zoro showcases resilience and an unyielding spirit by choosing to accept his fate rather than resist. Luffy, impressed by Zoro's will, offered for him to join his crew, which he initially refused as he had his own dream to become the world's greatest swordsman. However, Luffy's unwavering faith in him and the realization that joining Luffy's crew would help him achieve his dream made him eventually accept Luffy's proposal. This moment signifies the true beginning of the Straw Hat Pirates crew and also establishes a deep bond and mutual respect between Luffy and Zoro, which becomes a central theme throughout the series.
Nice!
Coming in at number 13, we have the first meeting between Monkey D. Luffy, our optimistic protagonist, and Marshall D. Teach, also known as Blackbeard.
どうした？
このチェリーパイ死ぬほどまずいな。
This encounter took place on the island of Jaya, specifically in a tavern in Mock Town, where Luffy goes to gather information on how to get to the Sky Islands. Blackbeard at this point was a stranger to Luffy. He enters the tavern with a lively laugh and a sly grin, then strikes up a conversation with Luffy. During this brief encounter, Luffy and Blackbeard found common ground in their shared belief in the pirate's dream. Prior to this encounter, Blackbeard was name-dropped on multiple occasions, initially by Ace, as both of them were part of the Whitebeard pirates. Teach started off as a pirate under Whitebeard and eventually left to form his own crew after killing his former crewmate Thatch and stealing the dark fruit. This meeting between Luffy and Teach, although brief, sets the stage for a deep-seated rivalry that would shape the course of their respective journeys as well as the world of One Piece.
人の夢は終わらねえ。
Goldie Rogers was first introduced in Chapter 1 and Episode 1 of the One Piece series during his own execution.
俺の財宝が探せ。この世のすべてをそこに置いてきた。
He was the captain of the Roger Pirates and is supposedly the former owner of the treasure called One Piece. Roger's appearance set the whole premise for the One Piece series, which already shows how important his introduction was. If it weren't for his speech during his execution, stating the existence of One Piece, the golden age of pirates would likely never have come, and our dear protagonist might have never dreamed of becoming the Pirate King. So during this scene, the world government was holding a public execution to set Roger as an example for other pirates. However, his words ended up having the opposite effect. Roger's speech was so rousing that it ushered in the great pirate era and the quest for One Piece. His legacy continues to influence the events in the series, making his introduction one of the most impactful moments in One Piece. Next, we have Aokiji, also known as Guzan, a former admiral of the Marines. His first appearance is made just before the Water 7 arc, back when he was still an admiral. Oh, and by the way, did you know that he's actually the first admiral to be introduced? When the crew stumbles onto Aokiji, Robin begins panicking and the crew immediately faces him, learning that he's an admiral, one of the greatest powers available to the world government. Aokiji himself, though, is pretty laid back and ignores the crew before turning his eyes towards Nami. Turns out that Aokiji was just out for a walk and ended up here, and that he doesn't intend to capture the Straw Hats. He's like super lazy overall. His introduction was unlike anything you'd expect, since normally the enemies are supposed to be more enemy-ish, I guess. Aokiji is so laid back that initially he doesn't seem much like a threat, but a little bit later when we see him show a glimpse of power, we can tell that he's not someone to be trifled with. A guy who can literally freeze up the ocean isn't someone that you casually mess with. Coming in at number 10, we have the time when the supernovas were introduced. They were introduced as the worst generation because all of them happened to arrive on the Sarbodi archipelago at around the same time after taking one of the 7 routes to enter the Grand Line. The way the supernovas were introduced as being around a similar level to both Luffy and Zoro, who are also part of the worst generation, showed that the other routes were explored by equally threatening and ambitious pirates. The introduction didn't just introduce us to some of the coolest rivals and allies of the Straw Hats, but also built upon the world of One Piece. And who doesn't like watching chaotic young rivals fight it out, hey? Next, we have the introduction of Katakuri. His proper canon introduction and a look at some of his skills came about when Jiggerant was trying to force his way through security during Big Mom's tea party. As Jiggerant was making a scene, a jelly bean was flicked onto his forehead with so much force that the man died immediately. Capone gang stood stunned until they noticed Katakuri sitting on a wall, playing with a jelly bean. Here, Sweet General Katakuri's intro as a pirate with a bounty of over 1 billion berries came about. It's then revealed that Katakuri's observation haki was so advanced that he could literally see a little bit into the the future. He shot at Jiggara because he knew that the man had come for revenge and foresaw him shadowing down 2 men. This guy literally has the largest revealed bounty until now. Definitely a proper introduction to an Emperor's right-hand man. Swooping into the rescue, we have Monkey D. Dragon as he saves Luffy from execution. I'm sure the word execution there caught your attention, so here's a little bit of background if you've forgotten what happened. After being defeated and caught by Buggy, Luffy was pinned for execution in front of a massive crowd, much like the time when Goldie Roger was executed. As Luffy's head was about to be cut off, he gave off a big smile while telling his friends that he was sorry for dying. And right then, excessive lightning struck the platform, setting it on fire before it fell down. As Luffy's released, Smoker swoops down to capture our hero, but Dragon intervenes once more and stops him in his tracks. The moment was awesome because at the time, we didn't know that Dragon was Luffy's father. Even without that tidbit of knowledge, his introduction was superb as he saved Luffy from certain death, which would have prematurely ended our story, and no one would have wanted that. Next on our list is the moment Sabo appears in the Colosseum. Now, this was a shocker due to one major reason. Prior to this moment, we'd learned that Luffy, Sabo and Ace were bonded as brothers. And back in their childhood, Sabo was killed by a celestial dragon in front of Luffy and Ace while they were kids. After all of that, during the Dressrosa arc, a mysterious figure suddenly arrived in front of Luffy, laying claim to Ace's Flame fruit. When Sabo calls Luffy his little brother, he suddenly joins the dots and realizes the brother he thought was dead was standing right in front of him. This ends up becoming an incredibly emotional scene as Luffy latches onto his adoptive brother, crying and apologizing to Sabo for being unable to save Ace. It's an incredibly powerful moment and heartwarming at the same time, since even though Luffy lost Ace, he still had Sabo now to count on. The reveal itself was very well timed and proved to be amongst one of the best introductions in One Piece. Ever wondered how things would be when 2 Emperors of the Sea meet up? Well, this would be valid back in the time as before this, we hadn't seen 2 Emperors in the same vicinity. After destroying a bunch of marine defenses, the Red Hair pirates approach Whitebeard's ship. Shanks comes on board as Marco orders the newcomers to head inside. The message was a little late though, as Shanks had his Conqueror's Haki on blast, causing the members to faint one after the other. His Haki is so intense that even the wood cracks up. Shanks, standing in front of Whitebeard's massive figure while carrying sake, is a sight to behold. While having a drink, Shanks states that he came here to ask Whitebeard to stop Ace from going after Blackbeard. This results in Whitebeard clashing his sword with Shanks and the sky literally dividing from the Force. The meeting showed the vast level of strength possessed by the Yonko, being the first proper introduction to their strength. Nearing the top 3 of this list, we have the appearance of the right-hand man of the Pirate King, Silvers Rayleigh. During the time when the mermaid Kami was abducted and taken to the human auctioning house, Rayleigh also happened to be present there in chains. While Disco tried to put a collar on, Kami was getting aggressive. Rayleigh discreetly knocked him unconscious with his Conqueror's Haki. He was introduced as the Pirate King's right hand. Now, if this wasn't a badass enough entry, the next time we see Rayleigh, he's stolen the money from the auction house before proceeding to knock everyone in the room out with Conqueror's Haki right after the moment Luffy had struck a world noble. Rayleigh's introduction showed that he was in a league of his own, having enough control over his haki to precisely target a person and knock them out. And that title, Right Hand of the Pirate King, how strong and intimidating would the first mate of Goldie Roger be? Well, we were finally able to see another person on the level of the Emperor, and it rarely gets better than that. Speaking of Emperor-level characters, why not talk about the introduction of Big Mom, an official Emperor of the Sea?
Monkey D?
At Whole Cake Island, Big Mom eagerly anticipates an upcoming tea party and the candy from Fishman Island. Bobbin reports the success of an operation of burning down an entire country. She insists that anyone not providing her sweets should be taken care of. Bobbin then informs her that Fishman Island might miss their monthly payment. Concerned, Big Mom orders immediate contact with the island, and this leads to her having a chat with Luffy. Disregarding the later bits, everything from the introduction was absolutely horrid. Big Mom's massive, imposing figure and the way she drooled and had bloodshot eyes solidified her as a truly intimidating villain. She was even crazy enough to eat up a man, not to mention burn down the entire area just for candy. The simple fact that she was as big as a giant would already be scary enough without the clear level of psychopathy she put on display. Coming in at number 3, we have Kizaru heading to Sabaody. This specific arc had a whole bunch of spectacular character introductions, from Dark King Rayleigh to the Supernovas, but the intro that took the cake was Kizaru's. After Luffy punched a world noble in the face, Kizaru was sent against our hero. He took a warship to Sabaody before literally crash landing on the archipelago on a cannonball. Kizaru then proceeded to showcase the power of his Devil Fruit, a light-based Logia type. During this time in the series, it was absolutely impossible to imagine our heroes having to go against a literal Admiral of the Marines, and it led to some heart-thumping moments all in all. Considering that Luffy had, in a way, signed the crew's death warrants by attacking a world noble, and Kizaru's entrance on the island established that truth. Kizaru then proceeded to mop the floor with most of the worst generation, including Luffy and Zoro, showing everyone that there were unimaginable threats in the New World. Drifting into the picture, we have Dracule Mihawk as he arrives in East Blue. Now, Dracule Mihawk was introduced fairly early in the series, during the Bharati arc, which is interesting because he's literally the strongest swordsman in the world. This puts him amongst the strongest dudes around, and he just happens to show up on a whim to take out the Krieg pirates. He cut up their flagship almost instantly too, which showed off his strength. The real kicker though here was the fact that Zoro chose to challenge him to a duel, since Mihawk held the title that was Zoro's dream. Suffice it to say, the duel ended poorly for Zoro, who suffered a clear defeat, even though Mihawk used the smallest blade he had and put in minimal effort. It was a pretty awesome display of power and showed Zoro how far off he was from his dream. It's a good thing Mihawk left Zoro alive though. Coming in at the top of this list, we have the introduction of the strongest creature in the world, Kaido. Kaido's an Emperor of the Sea, and based on his moniker, you can tell that he isn't someone to be taken lightly. His introduction perfectly showcases this power and is one of the most insane around. Kaido tried to take his own life by jumping off a sky island. An island in the sky! All the while, we're told how many times he's been tortured, caught by the Navy, and sentenced to death And yet, nothing seems to work for him. Even his hobby is trying to off himself since he just can't seem to do it. Speaking of that, after jumping off from the Sky Island, Kaido lands on the ground, creating a Kaido-shaped hole. He climbed out of the hole with barely a scratch. His introduction was pure hype, and his entire aura and design is just so intimidating that it truly gives off the vibe of being one of the strongest pirates in the world. His presence was enough to stun Eustace Kid, Killer, Basil Hawkins, and Scratchman Apu, pirates of the worst generation. You can't really beat a character introduction when even the narrator hypes you up as you try and fail to end your life.
最後の戦闘準備を整えろ
And with that, we're wrapping up the top 20 introductions in One Piece. And don't forget to check out Marvel's Strike Force through the link in the description. As always though, do let us know your top character appearances, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe and share this video with your friends to see more of this juicy content. See you next time.